This is Chase Krim from Texas Roadshow, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the number one place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off-season.
What's up, everybody? This is Chris Kelsey from Nash Cards, and you are watching the Sports Card Strategy Show, where there is no off-season.
What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. This is the Sports Card Strategy Show. Don't forget to get a free 30-day trial at NoOffSeason.com today to help you make money flipping sports cards, build your sports card investment portfolio, get unlimited advice from our experts, and take sports card school to navigate the hobby. That's NoOffSeason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today. All the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from MarketMoversApp.com. Use code NOOFFSEASON at MarketMoversApp.com to get 20% off for life after a free 14-day trial. All right, let's get to the Sports Card Strategy. What's up, NoOffSeason.com fam? I am Paul Hickey. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm excited to be here with you all today. We're going to get into how to win at card shows and online. That's a big topic in my brain right now as I have gone to quite a few card shows this year. I'm like most of you. I can't make it to a card show every weekend because I've got a family and other obligations. Can't travel every weekend like some of you do to card shows, but most of us in the NoOffSeason.com fam can't do it. And so we have to balance how to win at card shows and online, because we like to do a little bit of dabbling in card shows, but also, flip online in front of our computers, on our phones, as we're doing other things, multitasking, stinker tinker time, if you will. We're going to talk about mine and Lefty's top pickups, strategic moves, and takeaways from the National, because we've talked a lot about the National, and I don't want to hammer home another National episode, but I did promise all of you that I would talk about our top pickups, our top lessons learned, our top takeaways, our top moves moving out of the National, right? Now that the National is done and behind us for 2024, what do we do the rest of the year? So we're going to talk about that strategy. And then, of course, like we do on Wednesdays, we're back to our, flagship content, using the formula to come up with our top 5 cards to buy, graded, and flip. Last chance to buy QBs before the season starts? Question mark. That's a question to all of you. Is it the last chance to buy QBs before the NFL season starts? Get into the live chat if you're at youtube.com/Paul Hickey, or drop a comment below. L's, W's, questions, comments, leave them below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're on Apple and Spotify and you're just chilling, walking the dog, mowing the lawn, farming, shout out Farmer Mosaic Joe, whatever it is, we got a new one from our guy Cody Cards. He's working out in the gym. He's rollerblading, whatever he does. Cody, met you at the National, and remind me what you do while you're listening to the show again. I totally forgot, but I had a new one. Okay. Question of the day. How do you manage transacting online and in person? This is the theme, right? Talked about it a minute ago. Theme of today's show. And we've got a post on Instagram if you want to answer it there. How do you navigate transacting online and in person? You can drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. If you're one of the listeners on Apple and Spotify, go to Instagram, follow Sports Card Strategy, comment on the post. It won't take long to find it. How do you navigate transacting online and in person? And check out one of our new Instagram Reels. I'm trying to get some more traction on those Instagram Reels. That would really help us out if you did that. Are you ready to start grading your cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. All right. How will we execute our sports card strategy coming out of the National? How do you navigate transacting online and in person? We're going to get into all that right now. there's an interesting dichotomy between what we do at nooffseason.com versus what happens at card shows. Buying online is scalable and realistic for people with careers, families, other obligations outside of the hobby. We all want to profit and make money, and many of our audience members want to parlay their current careers into a career moving in and out of sports cards for profit. That's why we're all here, and we can help you with that. So let me give you some of my top takeaways from the National before I dive deeper into that particular topic. Number one, at any card show you go to, don't be discouraged if you try to sell your cards at a card show and everyone there only offers you 80% of the lowest most recent comp, right? They're looking at any of the apps that show data. They're finding the one that is most beneficial to them, aka the lowest if they're a buyer, the lowest comp on any of the platforms that show comps. Then they're offering you 80% of that, right? This is because the reality is that 99% of people moving stuff at card shows are simply playing a numbers game, right? They're looking for liquidity. They're not necessarily looking to prospect. They only want cards that have several recent comps. This allows them to make offers at 80% or even 90% of comps, then set them out on their table and take them to a repacker who will pay anywhere from 7 to 15% more than what they paid for them. So this is a cash game. There's no fees taken out. The moves are immediate. So these people can walk away with large profits in a 1 to 3 day period of time. And in some cases, as quick as a 1 to 3 minute period of time, they're making these profits. So that's super worth it. So everybody, this is the card show culture now. I talked a little bit about this on yesterday's episode with Andy and Carter on the Football Card Quest. You can find it. I was a guest right here on the Sports Card Strategy Show feed on the Football Card Quest. So this is the card show culture now. Don't let the fact that you bought a card online but tried to move it at a card show discourage you. It shouldn't, because you're playing two separate games. The online game is different than the card show game, okay? So don't let it discourage you. You can't change the market, right? So if you're going to card shows, you just need to adapt your strategy to fit it. We can all still win at card shows. Here's how. Now, again, consider that all of us listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show are playing both games. We're mainly playing the online game, buying with a selling marker in mind, buying the right card for the right player at the right time, raw to grade, all of those things. Card show flippers don't play any of this. They only play the margins game that I talked about a second ago. So because you're playing both games, here's what you need to do. If you're going to card shows, just adapt your strategy to fit it. Number one, just simply don't bring the cards that you bought online with selling markers in mind to card shows, okay? If you try to sell or trade them, you will be comped to death. And here's the thing. They all use alt. All the people at the card shows use alt. We've barely talked about alt on this show. Now, alt, some people swear by it. Others say that there's poo-poo data in it, right? There's illegitimate data. Now, you could say that about any platform. We use market movers. People could say that about market movers. But the reality is, we know market movers cleans up the sales that aren't legitimate. We know that happens. We don't know if that happens on alt. We don't know if that happens on 130 point. We think it does. We don't know if it happens on card ladder. So all of us here in the nooffseason.com fam, we acknowledge all these data tools as potentially being legitimate, but we have to double check ourselves, right? We have to double check ourselves. And so if you find somebody using alt and you've never used alt, go to what you use. Go to what you trust. If you trust market movers, if you trust 130 point, whatever it is, and just don't let them do that to you, and don't get discouraged, right? So, but here's what I would say. Get familiar with alt. Start to use it. If you're going to go to a card show, I'm telling you, 99% of the people, the dealers and the flippers that are in these shows, use alt. So become familiar with alt, right? Add it to your toolkit. And then when you attend shows, try to attend as a vendor, right? Try to attend as a vendor. Now, we're just coming out of the national. It's almost impossible to do that. I talked about many different ways that you could actually, sort of pretend to be a vendor. I talked about it on Monday's show a little bit. I talked about it on Tuesday's show a little bit with Andy and Carter right here on the Sports Card Strategy feed, the Football Card Quest show. And, because the National's different. You can't really pay to be a vendor, but they had the after show. They had trade nights. They had areas where you could just set out your cards. So you can kind of pretend to be a vendor at the National. But what I would recommend is set up a table at a local show. Okay? Set up a table at a local show. And, there's shows everywhere around the country now. There are multiple shows every weekend. I updated the sportscardinvestor.com card show calendar for 2 years. I know this to be a fact. I know to be a fact that there are more and more card shows popping up around the country. I will be set up at the Nashville show, the Nash National, in October. I'm excited about that. I'm going to try to set up at the Lexington show with Turner and Lefty in the future, right? So I'm trying to set up at more card shows. When you attend card shows, attend as a vendor and use that as an opportunity to stock up on your inventory / move stuff at the show. Only bring cards to the shows that you're up 30% or more on from what you bought it for. I said that in an Instagram reel yesterday at Sports Card Strategy on how to make money at card shows without bringing any cash. Okay? Become the dealer, right? Find trade nights. This could be at bigger shows like the National or the Dallas show. Those are a couple of shows it's hard to be a dealer, but you can buy tables at Culture Collision. Shout out to Prism God. I'm going to buy a table at Culture Collision, probably not in September, but definitely in January, right? I just can't make it too many personal obligations in September. Again, that's why I'm playing the online game, like most of you. So becoming the dealer could mean sitting in the hotel lobby, getting your cards out on a table. That's what people are doing at these bigger shows. The VIP room at the National is a free card show that you can set up as a dealer. The VIP room at the National was its own card show. Seriously, I sat down, put my cards on a table, and made deals. There's a massive difference, and this is crazy, but there's a massive difference between being the person who approaches someone in the situation and the one being approached. When you sit, you're the pawn shop, period. Literally, when you get up and you walk around, now you're the customer and you kind of lose power. The good news is if you followed Sports Card Strategy, you bought the right cards, right? If you're a premium member at nooffseason.com or you follow the Sports Card Strategy show, or better yet, both, you've bought the right cards because you've listened to us. So the worst case it shows for you is that you attract a lot of interest. You don't move the cards, but you wait until the selling marker. Then move them at the selling marker, right? So that is kind of, in a nutshell, what I had to do at the National, what I had to do at the Nash National back in April, what I had to do at the Dallas Card Show in May, and what I'll probably have to do moving forward at card shows with a lot of my cards because I'm buying online. Now, just to back up a second, the reason why buying online and bringing the cards to card shows doesn't work unless you're up 30 or more % from where you bought it for is because a lot of times you're the comp, right? So if you buy a card online and then you bring it to a card show right after that, you're going to get discouraged because you're the comp. So they're going to be like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, rookie ticket auto out of 75, raw. Bought it for $175 all in. I was the most recent comp, even though I bought it a month ago, a month prior to the National. Everybody wanted that card, but they all wanted to pay me $150 for it. Why? Because the most recent comp was $175. I was the most recent comp. Should I have set that card out? Probably not, right? But I did because I want to learn about how to wheel and deal at these shows. And I learned a lot. And I'm sharing that with you, okay? So, am I concerned about this card show culture? What can we do about it? As I mentioned before, we can't change it. So my number one strategy is to embrace it. Have fun with it. Marry together our insights with it. So again, I'm going to buy tables at card shows more consistently and more frequently moving forward. I'm going to use those weekends to move in and out. Buy at the beginning of a show and try to move out of everything by the end of the show. And this is not a new strategy, by the way. People have been doing this exact same thing for like 50 years. I'm not even kidding. So shout out to all the OGs who have been doing it for a long time. But this is way different than what we do with our online strategies at no offseason. So this is why I'm going to lean into going harder into everything I do, but with card shows in mind, right? So I'm going to go harder into everything that I do online, but I'm going to do it with card shows in mind. Number one, here's a couple of other tips. Buying on Whatnot before going to card shows doesn't leave a footprint. Lefty and I talked a couple Wednesdays ago about how to not leave a footprint, right? Cracking a slab, doesn't leave a footprint. There's a bunch of other ways to not leave a footprint. Buying on my slabs sometimes doesn't leave a footprint because, not all the data tools pull in data from my slabs. Buying on Whatnot in these auctions does not leave a footprint. So if you're looking for deals on the Whatnot auctions, which we're promoting those more at nooffseason.com because, in our featured auctions of the day on the homepage, we're curating auctions from eBay, Whatnot, Fanatics Collect, and we think those are cards that you can make money on. Now, most of the time, you have to play the online game. If you're buying on Whatnot, you're not going to leave a comp. So yesterday, for example, I won a Bryce Young Prism Silver PSA 9 for about $50, and the most recent comp was $65. So that's a good example. So now my footprint is not going to be there. It's not going to say $50 in alt or in 130 point or in market movers yet. Maybe they'll pick up on Whatnot data someday. But I based on what I know about Whatnot from my contacts there, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So buying on Whatnot, make sure you don't overpay. You got to do your research, but buying on Whatnot is a good way to not leave a footprint. So taking those cards to card shows can work, and flipping them online. And by the way, if you want to get $15 free on Whatnot, if you haven't signed up yet, sign up at whatnot.sportscardstrategy.com. That gets you $15 free. Leaning into here's kind of the big one. The big one is leaning into the raw to grade formula-based rankings more and more. Why? Because raw to grade doesn't leave a footprint. That's probably the biggest way to not leave a footprint, to not leave a comp. So where these comp kids, quote unquote, can just comp you to death, right? The already graded rankings are great, and we're going to get into some of those top 5 today on this show, but they are 100% selling marker dependent. So any of the cards that I talked to you about on today's show, you can't bring to a card show. You just can't, because you're leaving a footprint, and then someone's going to try to pay you 80% of what you paid if you take them to a card show. So the numbers may work in the formula for the already graded, but the player has to outperform his or her current status for comps to move in the right direction. Now, this is cool because, again, most of us aren't going to card shows all the time. So I wanted to build a way to scale it where you could do it from anywhere. And I'm proud of what we've done. But because we're trying to navigate both, we got to separate things out. We can't bring our online purchases to card shows unless we either up 30 or more % from what we paid. Maybe we bought them on Whatnot, or we won on a big raw to grade play. So when comps move in the right direction, you win online or at card shows from where you bought it for, right? This is why the target cost and selling marker are so important to make money in general using the already graded formula. So again, don't get frustrated. I'm going to recap where Lefty and I landed at the National, because on Monday's episode, we talked about a lot of what we did at the National, but we didn't get into the nitty gritty of our pickups. Okay. And our lessons learned. So I'm going to go into some things that just on Wednesday morning, I had already learned, right? Like the show started. The show didn't start until Wednesday afternoon, but because there's so much happening, we went to a trade night on Tuesday night. We made deals on Wednesday morning because so much has happened. By Wednesday morning, I had already learned a ton of lessons. Before I get into those lessons, let's give a shout out to everybody in the live chat. I want to say hello to Sean. I know it's Sean G. Sean Red 5 Cards, but his handle is showing up as Sean LHT Reptiles. Good morning to you. It's the same guy. Love Sean. Southern Soccer Idiot says, hit that like button for my friend Paul. Thanks, SSI. It was great seeing you at the show, brother. Sean Red 5 Cards in the house. And he says, if you want to buy a snake, let me know. Ryan Painter, right sport football, right position QB, wrong league. I'm all about that Bowman U, he says. Hector, good morning from SoCal. What's up, Hector? Hector says, with all their expenses, flippers have to flip $50K to make like $5K profit. Maybe, not necessarily. Our guy Maddox Yost is doing way better than that. Maddox Yost is doing way better than that. He is M.Pokey World. Check him out on IG. He travels all around the country every weekend, basically. Every weekend he goes to a new spot and he tracks his expenses. He brings his cash to the bank. He pays himself. He reinvests week in and week out. He's an amazing business person, and he's in this in-person card show flipping game. George Scherer, great weekend in Cleveland. David T, Jabroni Cards. Says, got my first PSA upcharge on a Kyler Murray Optic rookie ticket auto red. Great work, Josh Jabroni Cards. Congrats on your first PSA upcharge. I'm always hoping for a PSA upcharge. It always means you're going to make a lot of money on that particular card. Go back and listen to the upcharge episode from last month or earlier this month, and it'll explain. You can binge the Sports Card Strategy Show and then let me know how much of that content is still relevant from several weeks ago, months ago, years ago. All right. Here are the lessons I learned from Tuesday's trade night. Okay. Number one, I've taken too many risks on big cards over $500. So one of the takeaways coming out of the National, and it doesn't just have to do with the National, but it has to do with all of the things I learned based on being at the National and seeing what people want, seeing what people are willing to pay for things, realizing, where are my wins and where are my losses? And I think most of my losses are on bigger cards over $500 because they become super selling marker dependent. They actually become like performance spike dependent. And I kind of knew this leading up to the National, but the National just validated it. So I wanted to bring it out here on today's Sports Card Strategy Show. Too many big risks on big cards over $500. They're hard to move. People want, dealers and everybody else, dealers, flippers, everybody, they want cards that are easier to move in and out of quickly. And the best price point for that is like, usually 50 is a little too low. Usually it's like $100 to say $250, $300 is kind of like a perfect sweet spot to move in and out. So I've been taking too many big risks on big cards over $500. That includes already graded. It includes raw to grade, everything. I've also bought, I think this is the bigger one. I've also bought too many cards with selling markers 12 to 18 months away. And I think I've actually combined the two, which I think has gone worse, right? I think I've bought several cards over $500. I know I've bought several cards over $500 with selling markers 12 to 18 months away. As a result, I've got cash tied up in those cards. I've held those cards for too long. I've missed out on earlier points in time when I could have sold those cards for more than what they're worth now. So this goes back all the way to Caleb Williams. It's very relevant to Caleb Williams, Drake May, especially relevant to Jackson Holiday, Jackson Churio. Those are probably the four, right? TBD on Shedeur Sanders. One of the lessons I learned in the NFL draft this year is a similar lesson to what I'm talking about right now, and I'm not going to make the same mistake with Shedeur Sanders. When Shedeur Sanders pops off at the beginning of this college football season, and if Carson Beck does it, those guys are both gone from my portfolio. I'm cashing out. I'm not waiting until the 2025 NFL draft. That's too long, and I've got too much money tied up in them. I need a performance spike. I'm moving them. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly learning, and we're constantly, tweaking when we sell, right? And what we buy. You got to keep learning. That's what I'm here to help you do on the Sports Card Strategy Show. So those are my biggest lessons learned. I learned them on Tuesday night, but they held true throughout the entire show. Big time. Big time. My biggest wins from Tuesday night's trade night and the reason I keep going back to Tuesday night's trade night is because I sold about 90% of the cards that I brought on Tuesday night. I had over $11,000 worth of cash on Tuesday night, and about 2,000 of it was net profit. So 2,000 net profit. So that's where I landed. And I think the reason my profit margin was between 10 and 20% was definitely due to what I just talked about. I think it was also due to the fact that a lot of my singles that I expected to break even on or lose 5% were in that bunch of cards. So I always talk about losing and breaking even 50 to 75% of the time and winning the other 30 to 50%. So I executed that. And I think the rest of the cards that I'm holding right now, I'm going to be up, 2x on them. I just am. So I'm ready to cash in, but I'm ready to not make those same mistakes over again. I don't think there's any reason why I need to just consider losing 75% of the time by 5%. I don't want to do that anymore. I think that it's probably going to happen the first 6 to 12 months that all of us are doing this, right? But now I've been doing this long enough to where I need a better batting average. So I think that if I execute on my lessons learned, I'm going to have a better batting average. I'm going to help all of you have a better batting average. But my biggest wins from Tuesday, Baker Mayfield Optic 2018 Downtown. That was a card that I cracked on the Sports Card Strategy Show out of a BGS 9.5, got a PSA 10 and was up huge. A Brock Purdy Prism Silver PSA 10, a card that I cracked on the Sports Card Strategy Show out of an SGC 10, got a PSA 10, was up huge. And then here's the big one. All of my cards that I bought from the Dallas Card Show, I moved for an amazing profit at the National first trade night on Tuesday night. Because I said earlier, what's the best thing to do at a card show? It's to buy and then try to move them all at that card show. But if you can't move them all at the card show, you can still win at the next card show. Why? Because the entry point that you paid was so low, right? You paid, whatever percent of comps. So you're building in your own margin. So if you want to play the card show game, that's how to do it. If you want to play the online and card show game, that's how to do it. Right? So going into the National, my overall plan was to liquidate all of my cards, literally own 0 cards by the end of October. And then I'm going to buy back in huge in November and December. Like huge. I'm going to buy back in massively in November and December because historical data every year is that's when you get the best deals. Another big win for me was a Joe Burrow Optic Hollow PSA 10 from 2020 that I bought for about $360. I talked about it on the Sports Card Strategy Show last December, at the end of last December, for $360. Sold it for $500 cash at the National. I was going to wait and auction it off in August, but $500 cash at the National. That's an example of what I'm talking about when I say bring cards that you're up 30% or more on based on recent comps from what you paid, right? From what you paid. So that was a big win. And so most of my wins were either at card shows, card show pickups, or raw to grade, crack and grade, or buy in November and December. So I'm taking advantage of all those opportunities. Buy in November and December is my next one. And buying at card shows. All right. So Lefty and I, had a strategy going in. I talked about my strategy. Lefty's strategy was he was looking for Jared Goff. So now I'm going to talk to you about Lefty's big wins from the National. And my big wins were more selling cards that I had already bought because I was prepping for this. Lefty's big win, Lefty hadn't really done that. So his big wins were picking up cards, which is great. Because again, if you can make good pickups at the National. And I'll talk about my pickups here in a second after I go through Lefty's wins and his pickups. That's great. So props to Lefty for this. So Lefty was looking for Jared Goff. He held off on some overpriced ones. Then he pulled trigger for $600 on 2 Jared Goff cards. One was a 2016 Panini Preferred Silhouettes Jersey Auto out of 99 for $75. The other was a Spectra Orange Patch Auto out of 3 for $525 from 2016. I'm here to tell you that these 2 cards were exactly why I wasn't buying any Jared Goff cards, because they're hideous looking, like hideous looking. And I'm not even one to critique the design of cards. I'm fairly unemotional about the design of cards. So I think that, yeah, you're definitely playing with fire if you're trying to buy these Jared Goff cards. But here's what Lefty did. Lefty showed them to me. I vomited in my mouth, and he was kind of vomiting in his mouth too. And he's like, I don't think I'm done making moves here. And here's what he did. He's brilliant for doing this. He traded the Goff silhouette and $150. The Goff silhouette and $150. So that would be $225 now for a BGS 9.5 2016 Panini Contenders rookie ticket auto. That is brilliant. So now he's into that card for $250. That's brilliant because that's a beautiful card in a gem mint grade. That's the card. That's the Jared Goff card that I want everybody to have if you're looking to buy Jared Goff cards. Because if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl, that fucker's going up huge, and that's the card that's going up huge. Now, the other move he did was he traded the Orange Spectra, which I thought was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, Jared Goff had signed it with an orange Sharpie, and the card was ugly. I mean, it all just clashed. He traded that straight up for an optic blue autograph rated rookie out of 75 in BGS 9.5. Color match, Rams color match. 2 incredible Goff cards for about $750 cash. That's amazing. Lefty crushed it. Here's the other thing Lefty did. A Connor Bedard. Now, this is what I think all of you can be doing at card shows. And we're blowing up on IG right now. I see my guy Cody Cards 77. I was talking about him earlier, and he definitely was the one that I was mentioning when I said I couldn't remember what he did when he was listening to the show. It was a new one for me. So Cody, drop it in the Instagram live comments, because I want to tell everybody I couldn't remember what it was. I don't know if you were swimming or boxing or working out or what you were doing, rollerblading, but put it in the IG comments so I can see it. Or hop on over to YouTube. YouTube.com/Paul Hickey. Subscribe to me over there. Anyway, either way, Lefty did the following, which I think is phenomenal. And actually, let's throw it over to Hector. Hector says, I invested in Goff last year, and even after winning in the playoffs, his cards moved up a little. He just doesn't have the hype like the other QBs. That matters. That's true. That's true. That's another reason why I haven't bought Goff. But I think Lefty's pickups at the National are solid because of the prices that he got him at and avoiding transaction fees. I think they're gonna put Lefty in a position where he can win. Because I agree, Hector. Like, I don't know that Goff is going to be like a hype monster, but I think that, after the Lions season last year, after the contract extension, after the receiver show, I mean, I just think up and to the right for Goff, as long as he keeps performing well. And if the Lions win, right, the Lions have to win. Goff has to take them to a Super Bowl for that card to move up. And I think that's Lefty's play here. It's not my play. I'm not recommending all of you do it. We've got, stay tuned for a Goff card that the formula likes, but I'm just telling you Lefty's pickups. Okay. Here's the other thing Lefty did that I think all of you can do. Lefty found a card in a showcase in an SGC 9.5. Doesn't matter what the card is. I'm going to tell you what the card is, but it doesn't matter what the card is. You could do this with any card at a card show. He looked up comps for the SGC 9.5, and he looked up comps for the PSA 10 and the PSA 9. And he did the math, and he said, I'm going to go make an offer to the dealer under comps for the SGC 9.5 and make sure that the PSA 9 and PSA 10 are selling for more than the comps for the SGC 9.5. So he found a Connor Bedard Young Guns SGC 9.5 base Young Guns. Those go for $282. He made an offer for $240. The dealer accepted the offer, and so he bought that card at 85% of comps. If he cracks and submits, so he's already won. He's already won because he bought it for 85% of comps. He can crack and submit to PSA. A PSA 9 goes between 330 and 350. So then he would win. PSA 9, he would win even more. A PSA 10 goes between 650 and 850. So if he gets a PSA 10, it's a massive win. Raw, if Lefty decides, hey, look, this looks good enough, and I just want to sell it raw, 323. So he won everywhere with that transaction, and I love it. I love it. So let's hop over to Instagram and see if Cody Card 77 said anything about what he's doing while he's listening to the pod. I don't know if he's snapping footballs because he's a long snapper. I don't know what he's doing. Shout out to Carter the Power in the live chat over on Instagram. We've got a lot of people joining on Instagram. Sevilla 1129. We've got 22 Sports Cards. Toronto Card Collector, the JMax 79. 123ology. Bear Sports Cards LLC. I'm just shouting out CMC Collector, shouting out everybody joining on Instagram. Elena Skotok, T Pritchett 54, T-Max Sports Cards. Waxer Binders. I'm totally getting that wrong. Corey's Hobby Shop. What's up? Okay, so before I get into my pickups, I do want to say Hector says he's into Hendon Hooker. If Goff gets hurt, that offense is elite. I'm into Hendon Hooker big. And look, I was the most recent comps on my Hendon Hooker. So I didn't sell my Hendon Hooker because everybody was lowballing me on the Hendon Hooker. I have 3 different serial numbered Prism PSA 10s, and I'm just holding them for the backup QB strategy that Hector's talking about. So here's a few things. What I needed to do, and I talked about some of my mistakes. Some cards that I was into with selling markers off into the future that were too high dollar. My Garland kabooms. My Darius Garland kabooms. I was so proud of my freaking Darius Garland kabooms. I got to give myself an L of the week on that. I haven't done L of the week in a while. Got to give myself an L of the week. I had 2 sick Darius Garland kabooms. One was a PSA 10, one was a PSA 9. Got them for a really good price. $1,100 for the PSA 10, $850 for the PSA 9. And I thought I could move them. I thought I could move them at the National. I didn't want to keep waiting. The original play was to sell them during the NBA playoffs. They did not go up. Nobody bid on them. They did not go up. So I took it. I said, look, I'm gonna hold off till next October, see if they go up. Well, the Cavs don't appear to be moving Donovan Mitchell. So that's a bad sign for Darius Garland. So the selling markers did not fall into place. The Cavs did not make it far into the playoffs. Garland didn't play well. Mitchell is still there. So it just doesn't look good for Garland. So what do? I'm thinking I got to move these. I can move them in Cleveland. Surely there's interest in Cleveland. Surely even people at the show want to buy them and flip them because a lot of the people in town were from Cleveland. At the show were from Cleveland because it's in Cleveland. Didn't happen. So I could not move the Garlands, just couldn't move them. Nobody even wanted them. It's $2,000 worth of cards. I couldn't give them away. So I traded them for a 2020 Jalen Hurts National Treasures rookie patch auto out of 25. Not a true RPA, but a really good looking 4-color patch. Valued at around $2,000. So felt pretty good about it. Could not move that card. Could not move that card at the National. Like, nobody even had an offer for it. They all were like, oh, that's an amazing card. What do you want for it? Blah, blah, blah. Couldn't move it. Now, I was going to hold it. And just say, look, this is a selling marker card. I'm okay with this. I like it better than the Garlands. I'm kind of sideways, you know. But then I saw a Joe Burrow 2020 Prism Black PSA 10 auto. Now, this might even be a lower pop card than the Hertz card, to be honest with you. But similar value to the Hertz card and to the Garlands combined. So I traded it for that Burrow. So now I basically went sideways from 2 Garlands to a Burrow autograph PSA 10, which now I feel better about because I can move that in the next 2 months easily, and it should go up because I believe in Joe Burrow more than I believe in Darius Garland. So that's a move that I made. I also picked up a Paolo Banchero Contenders Optic rookie ticket auto for $700 cash, Panini sealed. There was a comp at $800, but there were several comps at $600. So $700 was the price we agreed on. Feeling pretty good about that because I love Banchero. And then one deal I talked about on the Football Card Quest yesterday was I paid a total of $650 cash for a pair of rookie Prism Silver PSA 10s, 1 Anthony Richardson, 2 Will Levis. So most recent comps on the AR are around 500, so $450 for that. Most recent comps on the Levis are between $215 and $230, so $200 for that. So under comps on both of those cards. Then I got a Jared Goff rated rookie Optic Blue out of 149 raw that's in good condition. Little OC on the front, off center. Everybody wanted that card, so I'm into that card for about $100. So then I had some in-show flips. I mean, a ton of in-show flips, but one of them that made the most sense where I bought it at the show and then moved it later that day at the trade night on Wednesday was I bought a Jalen Green base rookie ticket auto Optic for $155 and I sold it for $185 at the trade night. So again, you can move in and out at the show. Up next for me, I'm moving out of all of my cards in September, football, and October, basketball, and then I'm buying back into football only, most likely, in November and December. Maybe some basketball. We'll see. So checking the IG chat here, saying hello to two sports cards, says, what are your thoughts on buying a collection where the cards are tough to find so the comps are from a decent time ago? That's probably not my game. I would have to lowball that because it's going to be a lot of work. So I don't love it. It's got to be from the 70s or before then. Here's what I would do though, two cards. I would definitely look up the top comps on the top cards from the years in the sports, and then I would price it out based on probably the middle end of those cards. So that would be a safe way of pricing it out. So for example, if you're looking at 70s baseball and you've got Paul Molitor, Alan Trammell, maybe Ozzie Smith, guys like that, they're going to be at the high end. Come down, I might go, well, look, I'm going to come down to about 50% of that high end and then make an offer on the entire collection based on that. I might even lowball further because it's just not my game. And there's going to be a lot of work involved in going through that entire collection. So I would either lowball or fade on that. So saying hello to Adrian Charlie, Generation Wax 1986 in the live chat on Instagram. All right. Top cards to buy, graded, and flip. So this is courtesy of our formula at nooffseason.com. I'd love it if all of you go to nooffseason.com. Check out a free 30-day trial if you're not already a premium member. Get into that formula-based sports card rankings because it prioritizes what cards you should buy. Now, already graded is dependent on a selling marker. We've got football selling markers coming up for a lot of the quarterbacks. Some hype, some potential performance spikes. Up first is Justin Herbert. So the fifth best already graded opportunity to buy and flip Justin Herbert 2020 Prism 325 rookie autographs PSA 10. So this is a massive card. So the target, the last comp is $2,330. So it's a lot. It's a lot into one card. But you should be able to sell it for at least $3,500 in September. That's a 20% margin. So that's risky. That's super risky, especially based on what I said earlier in the show. I probably won't be doing this. If I can get that card for like $1,900, I think it's a win, right? I think it's a big win. But even if it's not a big win, it's still a 20% win. So we've got listings for that card around that price range at nooffseason.com on the Justin Herbert profile page. Check it out. Next is Jared Goff. Talked about Jared Goff earlier in the episode. Mixed feelings on Jared Goff. Hector says one thing, Lefty says another thing. I think we can all agree Jared Goff, it's a tricky one. I think he's got to thread the needle and get to the Super Bowl for his cards to really go up. But I think if he does that, you see a massive spike. But you don't need a massive spike to make money on what I'm about to say. Jared Goff's 2016 Select Concourse PSA 10. You can buy that for $47. Now, there might not be listings for $47, but you can make offers. The most recent comp is $47. That's what we're going off of here. Based on historical data, which is what the already graded formula is based on, that's a $75 card in September. So 28% ROI on that. That's a good one. Now, an even better one, the one I'm trying to go out and get, because there are listings very close to this target cost right now on eBay. And you can find this gentleman's cards on his profile page at nooffseason.com, which you can find directly from the formula-based rankings. Joe Burrow, his 2020 Select 246 Club Level Silver PSA 10, target cost $163. This will be a $336 or more card in September. That is a 65% ROI. You're welcome, everybody. What's up to Eric G and MW in the live chat? That's a good one. That's probably my favorite one on this in this entire show. Joe Burrow, 2020 Select 246 Club Level Silver. My favorite one in the entire show. Now, one that I talked about yesterday on the Football Card Quest. I think some of my guys over at CGC Cards, some Giants fans that I know over there, will like this call. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. Low entry point here. Hard to find it at the target cost because of the pop count, but big time ROI potential if you can get it for the target price. Now, many of you out there will be like, oh, I can't find it for the target price, Paul, because so many listings are way above this. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the target cost is based on comps from this week. So I'm not making this up. Other people are finding this, so you can too. Daniel Jones, 2019 Select Field Level Silver PSA 10, $36 buy-in point. This is a $132 card in September. Guaranteed. Okay, that is 193% ROI. That's why Daniel Jones is at the top of those rankings, because of the math. Starting quarterback, New York Giants, Malik Neighbors, new target, revamped offense, same great coach, new players. Daniel Jones's 2019 Prism Silver PSA 10, harder to find, $60. Sold for a couple of days ago. Target cost is $60. Got to go based on recent comps everywhere. But the difference is we're trying to get you at the comp, whereas at a card show, you're trying to go below the comp. $176 card in September. This should be. That's 135% ROI. So Daniel Jones, couple of big ones. Gotta let you know about the opportunities. Can't pass it up. Hard to find. I think Burrow's the best one. Jace Bolasan agrees with me on that. Nick Lefave. Nick L. What up, brother? Love you. Says Marvin Harrison Jr. Bowman Autos. Should I hold until September or sell now? That depends on what you bought in for, Nick. I mean, if you're up significantly, I would sell now. If you're waiting for it to go up, I think you have to hold until it goes up. So stay tuned for a sell alert on Marvin Harrison Jr. We're monitoring him closely. Text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. That's sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. All right, big news at nooffseason.com. Big news. Pause if you need to. Stop doing everything else you're doing. Then come back and hit play. We are revamping our subscription services to offer more value at nooffseason.com. We're revamping it. So right now, for a limited time only, you can still go get that free 30-day trial. But it's probably going to be a limited time only because we're revamping our subscription services for more value. Now, if you want to be one of the first to get in on this, okay, you've heard me talk about like card grading. You've heard me talk about one-on-one. You've heard me throw out all these different promos at you. I'm going to stop doing that, right? I'm consolidating everything we're doing into one package that makes sense for everybody. It's an affordable price point. It provides the most value. It's everything we do. Email me at paul@nooffseason.com. If you're already a premium member, I'll get you first access to it. And in the meantime, if you're not a premium member, just go ahead and sign up for that free 30-day trial in the meantime. But if you're a premium member at nooffseason.com and you're curious to what I'm saying about these card grading services, card review services, consignment services, discounts on card grading, all of these different things, strategy, one-on-one strategy with me, all these different things, email me at paul@nooffseason.com. I'll hook you up. All right, I'm going to leave you with this. This is kind of cool. This is from eBay. As you know, I really like eBay. I curate eBay auctions all the time. And I curate eBay listings all the time in our player rankings. And I talk about eBay all the time in sports card school for selling strategy, listing strategy, buying strategy, all that. It's the marketplace. eBay now allows you to advertise your listings off-site of eBay. So now you've heard of the promoted listings, right? This is different than the promoted listings. This is like advertising your eBay listings on Google Ads, other websites that are relevant to sports cards. It's called promoted off-site. So if you're a top-rated eBay seller, you might have received an email from eBay saying, save up to $100 on your first promoted offsite campaign. I might dig into this a little bit more. I think if you're listing the right card for the right player at the right time, you probably don't need this. I just thought it was interesting. Let me know in the comments below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey what you think. Thanks everybody for joining the live stream, whether it's on IG, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X. Shout out everybody. And if you're listening on the podcast apps, you know what to do. Leave a review on Apple or Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy. I love all of you. Everybody, thanks so much for making nooffseason.com and the Sports Card Strategy Show the best place to get any kind of sports card information that has anything to do with helping you make money in the hobby. Everybody, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. To connect with us further, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Please also give us a follow on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy and on X at NoOffSeasonCard. We also have a Discord that you could join at sportscardstrategy.com. Everyone, I'm Paul Hickey. For the rest of us here at nooffseason.com, have a great day. We'll see you again soon.